Have I got Christopher here?
Yes, Judge.
Splendid. I'll call you Chris. Is that all right?
That's fine. Thank you.
That's a happy relief. And Katie?
Yes.
You've brought your older brother to court today, and it's a straightforward matter. What you say is over a period of years, you've always been financially responsible. I say a period of years because you're a very young person, but you've always worked when you've been able to, even though you're a full-time student.
Yes.
And you've had a part-time job, and you've lent him money over a period of time. And you say the money that you lent him was never a gift, it was a loan, and that's accrued over a period of time. And you've kept a little bank of Katie.
I have indeed.
And Chris has never paid you back, and you're suing him for that money back. In addition to that, the two of you are musicians of varying experience and varying quality. And Chris, you are a guitarist.
Yeah.
You busk and that sort of thing.
Yes.
And you borrowed Katie's guitar one day. You gave him permission to do that. You took it to a friend's house or somebody else's house, and it broke. And now, Katie, you want the money back because you don't have a guitar to practice on. In reply, Chris, you say, in respect of the money that you've borrowed, you got dribs and drabs here and there, you absolutely accept, but you say, that's what sisters do. That was not a contract or a loan, it's just one of those things. It's a gift, in other words. Lawyers would say that that means that there's no intention to create legal relations between you. And what's more, in respect of the guitar, you say, not my fault, the dog did it. That about right?
Yes, that is, Judge.
Now, Katie, let's start at the very beginning. You are a young person who's in full-time education, correct? But you've been very responsible because, as I understand it, as soon as you've been legally able to, you've always had a job, am I right?
Yes, I turned 16 in the June and started looking for jobs and got the job in the November, so only a few months after I'd actually turned 16.
And is this a part-time job?
Yeah, Saturdays and Sundays, so I'm at school Monday to Friday and working Saturdays and Sundays, so I never really have a day off.
Tell me about the various part-time jobs that you've had.
It's just a receptionist last
No.
year.
You were 16. I want to know, you were in full-time education. I want to know what the best job that you had working all day Saturday and Sunday.
I didn't have one.
Didn't? I've just put down didn't. When did Chris first come to you to borrow money?
It was in May 2014.
Right, so we're talking about a year ago. Were you in full-time work last year?
I was in full-time education.
That's very good. What were you studying?
Performing arts.
Did you have a part-time job as well?
I did not.
So you were short from time to time, right?
Yes.
Now, Katie, the time Chris first came to borrow money from you, how much did you have in savings?
I had about £700.
Where were you living at the time? I've got something written down, but I wasn't sure if it was accurate.
I was in between places. I was...
Well, that's one way of putting it. I think there's another way of putting it. Where were you living?
in a tent in a garden.
How long were you living in the tent?
A few months. Probably about 3 or 4 months.
What was that like?
It was stressful, especially having to get into school or college or work or something. But I got by.
Did you know that he was in that situation?
Yeah.
Your brother was homeless, right? You were homeless?
Yes.
You still carried on going to university, and you've got a job now?
Yeah. Well, yes.
And you tried to have a job from time to time. What did he say to you when he first came to you to borrow money?
It was sort of just in passing. He said, oh, you know, I'm going to a friend's house and I don't have any bus fare. And he didn't have the money at the time to maintain a bus pass. So I lent him £5 first so he could get a day saver to travel to his friend's house.
To what extent do you think the financial situation he's in is his fault?
To some extent, I think it is his fault because I find Chris can be very lazy sometimes, so in terms of actively going out and seeking a job, you know, whereas if that was me, I would be out every day job hunting, searching, I would be persistent to want to work.
You would be, and that's why you're going to be extremely successful, I'm sure of it. Over a period of time, you lent him money for various things. I've got a variety of things, totalling £257 and 82 pence. And every time he took that money, you wrote down what he'd taken, what it was for, and the date.
Yes.
Very good. Let's have a look. Now, you borrowed £5 for brackets bus fare on the 13th of May 2014. When you took that money, what did you say and what did your sister say?
Well, I asked for some bus fare if I could get to my mates, and she says, yeah, that's fine. There was no extra conversation of, oh, I need it back, I need this. It was just, oh, well, can I borrow some money? Yeah, sure, there it is.
And that sounds about right. Now, in your mind, undoubtedly, you thought, well, I'm lending this money to you. You said that to him.
Yeah, the fact that he asked to borrow it implies that at some point he would pay it back.
It does imply that. He may have said that. Where on here have you said, this is a loan? Let's just go through it. £5 for fags. In other words, you said, can I borrow some money for some cigarettes? I can't believe with no money you smoke. You're not smoking anymore, are you?
On and off, yes.
That means, yes, I am smoking. £30 for cinema and snacks. Yes? And there are £7.82 for camping chairs online. But you can't charge him for that. That's really for his lounge.
Chris loves going to Wales when he can camping because he likes like that sort of lifestyle, and he was after some camping chairs. I said, well, you know, I'll buy you some, sort of like as a gift, but one day.
Just pause and take that slowly. I will buy you some sort of... What was the 3 words you said at the end there? Sort of like as a gift.
I don't think I would have said it as a gift.
Well, you just did. Perhaps you had a brain fart of some sort. But I understand why you say it, because I think that's real. I think that's true. For more Judge Rinder cases, click here. And if you've got a legal issue yourself, get in touch with us by clicking over here.